Yo, what's going on, guys? So today I'm going to make a really quick video on MapleStory abbreviations slash acronyms slash whatever you want to call it. I am making this video because when I first joined the game in 2021, I took a long break and I was like, I'm never coming back to this game, and here I am. And I was just so confused on like what people were talking about. I was like, what is FS? What is FZ? Why are people buying it? You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, what are you guys talking about? So yeah, I'm just gonna cover all of those terms in the game that people use. There are a lot of them because this game is like, I feel it's so niche, like the community is so tight and small because literally this game has, I mean, the people who play the game currently are just, you know, they're being held hostage. Like, I think a lot of the stuff that Nexon has pulled against us has, you know, dwindled down the population, and they don't really care because, you know, GMS is about like 10% of, you know, KMS's population, so nobody really cares about that. But yeah, I'm just getting sidetracked. I'm just gonna get right into the video. So I'm going to start off the video with super basic terms that absolutely everybody in the game knows and uses. So if you don't know this, then you have clearly just started the game, and that is the infamous FZ and FS. So FZ stands for Frenzy Totem. Frenzy Totem is an item in the game that was introduced in like 2015, 2016, like a long time ago, and they were acquired from either Marvel Machine, which is another gambling scheme from Nexon, or the Philosopher's Book. And those are just like current events that happen every few months or so, every year. At this point, they've happened a couple months from now, but basically these items are super duper rare, and 99.99999% of Maplers do not have these items. They are a super rare item, and you will never have it in your life unless you spend thousands of dollars to buy it from someone, and you are crazy. So people who own these items are obviously going to do their absolute best to milk it for its worth, because it is, hello, worth thousands of dollars. So, you know, if you buy service from Frenzy, it is the person going into your map and dropping this skill called Monolith. It increases the spawn and it helps you train a lot faster, and people love this skill, and it is a super controversial topic if this item should be removed from the game, but I'm not here to talk about that. I'm just here to talk about what it does and what the abbreviation means. So all you need to know is that is a spawn enhancer that is from a super rare item that nobody in the game has except like 0.01% of the population or whatever. While we are on the topic of like training enhancers, there is another one that is kind of more niche. It is ROT or ROT. It stands for Ring of Torment. It is a rare item, again, that was used in like, I guess, Marvel and Philosopher books. You have to spend money to get it, or just buy it. It's tradable, but it's basically a EXP buff that gives you more EXP, but it decreases your damage. So honestly, it is, if you want to hit like, I don't know, like level 300 or whatever, I think the people who are, you know, racing for that achievement do have this item, but a majority of players do not have this item. So ROR, or Ring of Restraint, it comes in 4 levels, 1 to 4, and the most rare is obviously level 4. It increases your damage output by an incredible amount. It increases your attack and magic attack, and is used for bossing primarily, and it is super rare, worth about like max mesos. You will probably never get it in your life unless you're lucky and you've run Tower of Oz, which is where you get it from, and it takes forever. A lot of my friends have been trying to get it, and you know, only a few have succeeded and sold it for max mesos, and they pretty much can fund their characters from that alone. So if you want to get that ring and sell it, that is a crazy method to make mesos, but go for it. SMEGA is short for Super Mega, and that is the item in the cash shop that lets you talk to the world in MapleStory. It is Super Megaphone, not to be confused with Smegma, which I will not go into detail about. When you see people SMEGA, they will often do like, selling this item, selling my fat hot dog for this amount of money. And you'll see stuff like CO, C/O, current offer, AW, auto win, meaning, you know, obviously if you do this price, you automatically win the item, and then OBO. OBO stands for or best offer. So whatever they want for the item. When someone asks for a door, they're not literally asking for like a door for their house that broke off or whatever. Door is short for Heaven's Door, which is a level 160 bishop skill that gives you a little buff that prevents you from dying once during a boss fight, and it has a long cooldown, so a lot of people do like to use this skill when they are bossing. So you'll see people like, oh, buying Door, does anyone have Door? Can someone give me Door? I have that on my buddy list in guild all the time. It is super annoying, but it is pretty useful for bossing, so I'll give it that. NL typically stands for Night Lord, the thief subclass, or Netherlands, and as you know, Nexon screwed them over, so they all left. Rip Copper Sand. RNG simply stands for Random Number Generator. It is commonly used in a lot of video games that have a, I guess, gamble feature / gimmick in the game. It is honestly why a lot of people hate this game, because they will cube something and they're like, okay, let me get 3-line strength, 3-line intelligence, and they never get it. And you know, cubing is very difficult, and you know, gachapon, whatever. Marvel system, people hate this game because they spend thousands of dollars on this game to get nothing in Marvel. I'm just rambling right now, but basically RNG is a pretty huge part of MapleStory, and that is why a lot of people quit and a lot of people enjoy the game, because they get something super rare and they feel, I guess, happy that they, you know, are the few % of people who get rare stats in the game. IED and PDR. IED stands for Ignore Enemy Defense, and it is, you know, gonna ignore the enemy's defense. It's self-explanatory. It's used for bossing, and you need a lot of it. And the more you have of it, it actually has a thing called diminishing returns, where you basically, the more you have of it, the less value you get out of it. It's kind of hard to stack it. It basically, if you have like a lot of IED, it'll just get harder and harder and harder for the stat to increase, and it's kind of a pain in the ass, so that's why you need a lot of it. So it's just a weird little system that they do. And PDR stands for physical damage reduction, or percent damage reduction, and it is something that bosses have, and you need to counteract that PDR with IED. 40 SBA simply stands for 40-second battle analysis, and 40 seconds is kind of a random number, but it's actually used for hard lucid. A lot of people back then wanted to solo hard lucid, so they determined their damage output in 40 seconds in order to burst through during phase 3, and that was kind of like the whale test back then. So a lot of people do use this term still, and I think it's kind of outdated. So when you hear 40 SBA, that's what it means. Whale. A whale is basically a term coined by the Maple community as someone who is willing to spend a lot of time, or mostly money, on the game. And whales are pretty much the people who can solo like Black Mage, Saren, whatever. You see a crazy video of someone just one-shotting like Hard Lucid, Varus Hillo, whatever. Those are whales. You see them, you know them, and now you know what they're being coined as. Fashion Story and Chair Story. Fashion Story is basically somebody who enjoys playing dress up with their character. They like to collect permanent NX, they like to roll surprise style boxes from events, they like to buy expensive NX clothes in the auction house. In Reg server or in Reboot, they like to buy a lot of NX and increase their aesthetics, even though it doesn't increase their damage. So it's kind of like a rabbit hole, if you get my point. Chair Story is basically, you know, chair story, you like to collect chairs. It's self-explanatory, and I think it's completely valid, and I love these kinds of people who play the game just for like stupid things like this. Well, it's not stupid, but it's like... FMA. FMA stands for Full Map Attack, not to be confused with Fullmetal Alchemist, the best anime of all time. WSE. WSE stands for your weapon, your secondary, and your emblem. These are the most important items that have the best stats in the game, which you can roll percent attack, percent magic attack, all that good stuff. So you just need to have these optimized. That's why people refer to them as WSE. F2P and P2W. So F2P is free to play, and you could argue that is Reboot, the server where you don't spend a single dime of your wallet to enhance your gameplay and increase your damage, blah blah blah. But you could also argue that Reboot is not free to play because you do spend a lot of time on the game farming for mesos, which the mesos are used to buy cubes, to upgrade your gear. So you could argue that Reboot is not free to play because, you know, time equals money, blah blah blah. But Reg server, you can also just kind of blow your money. You know, if you have a lot of hard-earned money and you want to spend on the game, why not? But a lot of people do get carried away for Reg servers, so that's why P2W, pay to win, is a term that a lot of free-to-play players dislike. So it's kind of like a controversy. But BD obviously stands for boss damage, not to be confused with big damage. Lomian stands for Lotus and Damien. I know it sounds like lo mein, the noodle, but it's not. I don't know why they call it that, but QOL stands for quality of life. I talked about this in my other video, but it basically just means like the enjoyment, like your level of enjoyment of the game. So for example, when there's a new update for MapleStory, it'll be like, oh, we're gonna change the font size, it's gonna be adjustable, we're gonna change this and that. It's just small things like that, and that adds into quality of life. And you know, another example is like they used to make bosses a long time ago. You had to walk to your bosses and like teleport there, and now you can just teleport there with the boss tab. But before it was a lot harder to you know, change that. And I also think that they, if you guys remember this, it was like Pink Bean. You had to get the what is it, the little crystal thingy to fight Pink Bean every day, and it was a pain in the ass, and they got rid of that, and that is a huge quality of life update. B-ROID simply stands for BattleRoid. You might know what this is already, but it's just a android that costs about like 40 mil, 50 mil in Bara. The female ones are more valued because people love female androids. I think most of the player base is male, so they want like a girlfriend in game or something. I don't know. And then they and then B-ROID, or sorry, a male B-ROID is not as valued, so it's a little bit cheaper. But yeah, a BattleRoid, basically all it does is that it's a permanent buff freezer. So when you die during a boss fight, you will never have to recast your buff. So it's pretty useful for quality of life. It makes you just want a boss more often than, you know, going to the shop and buying those buff freezers every damn time. So it's pretty useful. I plan to buy one in the future if the price drops or if I have money. So this is a lot. It's just map abbreviations. They can be a little bit confusing if you are a lower level in the game, but once you get to like the majority of the Arcane River maps, you'll know that these maps are abbreviated as like letters. Like for example, SSS1. SSS1 is Star Swallowing C1, which is a map in SELLAS. There's a lot of S's in that area. Another one is like, you'll see is like 1-4, 1-5, it's a map in LIMINA? LIMINA? I can't pronounce that. I don't know what it's canonically pronounced, but it's End of the World. It's the map before you fight Black Mage. TL::DR. This is a kind of one that's used like throughout the internet in general, but I do see in MapleStory a lot, so I'll include it. It just stands for too long didn't read. It's like, you know, people will type it in like Reddit and they're like, oh my god, it's just a wall of text, let's not read through that, let's just skim through it and just do TLDR and then blah blah blah, just say that, like summarize it in like one sentence for people's convenience. Back pet is pretty self-explanatory. It's just a pet that is super valuable. It is only rolled through events such as Wonderberry, what do you call it, like Wonder Pets. I've never rolled that before, but you could get a chance to get a vac pet, a vacuum pet. It just, you know, it increases your meso rate, picking up whatever. DNT stands for do not trade. So if somebody is like on a DNT list, do not trade with them, because they're probably a scammer. BOD stands for Breath of Divinity. It is the infamous ring that you get from Marvel. It is incredibly rare, and it's, I don't even know how much it costs, but it's a lot of money. It used to be worth like, I don't know, like 2k, 50k, I don't know, it's just a lot of money. But all you gotta know is that it gives you this crazy skill that makes you negate damage, and you can cast every 60 seconds, and then you get like a 100% stance buff, and it's kind of like the Mihil link, and it's literally like every minute you can use it. It's kind of insane. So it's a super rare item that only whales have. SOS does not stand for come get me, help me, whatever. It stands for Source of Suffering. It is a super rare pendant that drops from Vihilla, Varishilla, and it is probably the best in slot pendant because of the pitched boss set that it has. The pitched boss set, basically, like, it's a really rare item set that you need all of them to get like this incredible set effect, and it's, don't worry about it, it's unless you're going to like the absolute end game. So DBS stands for Dark Boss Set, also synonymous with PBS, Pitched Boss Set. I don't think people call it PBS because it sounds like, you know, PBS Kids, whatever. People just say DBS for Dark Boss Set. It's basically like all those crazy items that are like super rare, like Berserked, magic eye patch, all that, it all goes into the bot set and it gives you like a crazy set effect. So I definitely missed a ton of abbreviations, but these are the most common ones that I see that I was honestly very dumbfounded and confused about. When I first started the game, I was just like, what are you guys talking about? So I hope this video helped any new players watching this, and if you guys are, you know, seasoned / veteran players, please feel free to, you know, comment below and just type in any abbreviations that I missed. That would be helpful to new players that, you know, they'll need to know, because, you know, we all gotta know about that MapleStory lingo because we're such a small community, you know, like we gotta share the knowledge, you know. God, that was cringe. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, drop a comment, drop a like, subscribe if you want. I have no idea what kind of content to upload, I just kind of go with the flow, and I will see you guys in the next video.